everyone. Welcome to the Indie Basketball Podcast. This is where the indie rock meets NBA's finest, and today we're doing our little ISO ball. We're going one-on-one. We got a conversation with Nick Ewing of Local Natives. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Excited to
Really,
be on.
yeah, I really appreciate you joining. This is fun. I like to have some people on and just kind of talk some hoops, talk some music, and it's really what we're all about, right? So and it's a good time too. I feel like it's a really good time for NBA. There's so much going on.
Oh yeah, I feel like this is like the perfect microcosm of my world. So this is made for me.
Yeah, it's perfect. For those that don't know, Nick is a member of Local Natives, and you also run your own record label, right?
Yeah, I started a new small label kind of over quarantine.
Yeah.
We've been toying with this idea for a while, but yeah, start this new label, which has been really fun.
Awesome.
And,
What made you want to do that, I guess?
I guess but just I wanted to be a part of making art and music in ways that I guess I couldn't before, and I also control. That's a bad word to use. I also yeah, I guess I am controlling of our like the band aesthetic a lot too, and so I always really liked record labels who was like, this label has an aesthetic, and just helping young artists like I can do the design, I can produce, like I just want to help you and get you on your feet and go do radder stuff than me afterwards.
And you're a graphic designer as well?
Yeah. I do a lot of the band stuff and a bunch of other stuff too, but yeah.
Awesome. I'm a designer as well, and I've seen a lot of your work. It's very good stuff. I'm always like really blown away, especially you've done the Local Natives artwork as well.
Yeah, we've collaborated with a lot of people, which has been super fun, but yeah, I handle a lot of it as well.
Very awesome, man. Yeah, it's great. So with Local Natives, do you guys have any new music in the works, or like you planning any shows for the upcoming?
Yeah, we're doing our first post-pandemic or quarantine show in like a few weeks here in LA, which is going to be very emotional. But yeah, we only have a few California shows this year. Still feels like such a wild card if event shows will happen. So these are all outdoors. So we just do a few, and then hopefully next year. But we're actually, depending on which one of you ask of us five, I would say we're about halfway done with the new album. Maybe if you ask other people, it's higher or lower. But yeah, we're in the middle of a new record, which is, yeah, it's I don't know. Sometimes in the middle of record making, you lose clarity, but I think we're halfway done. I think it's really rad. Really
sweet.
I'm excited.
Yeah. What's the pandemic really been like? I know you said you started a record label, so that's kind of given you some occupation of it, but what's it been like as a band?
We're pretty close, the five of us, so I feel like we were just like zooming weekly just to like hang out, like the beginning when it was just like weird, you know. And then I felt like maybe like we didn't do anything for like 6 months, and then we started. What kicked it off? Oh, we did a live stream, and that was like the first time we got back together. I don't know, I felt like it was just, I guess for everybody, just weird, and you're trying to figure out as you go. And then we did like a covers EP, which is gonna come out later this year. Like we were just started doing little stuff here and there and getting our feet wet, and then it wasn't until like maybe beginning of this year, like let's just make a record.
Sure. Was there a lot of like independent writing, I guess, and then like did you guys all bring stuff together, or was it kind of like let's just take it slow, and then you came together to start a new album kind of later on?
I think there was definitely independent writing. We're so collaborative. We're like, all right, the pandemic starts, like we'll just there's gonna be a new era. We're gonna like everyone write and email it to each other, and then you work on it and send it back. And then it just didn't work. Like we have to like be in a room and like hash it out, you know? So there was like, it was like, oh, this could be like a new era, and it just wasn't. we couldn't do it. So
I mean, it's really interesting seeing like, some bands are able to do that. Some bands are able to just kind of like, I write my track, I send it to you, and then we'll just keep building on it. But like some really require the togetherness and like the jam ability.
Yeah, and I feel like we're to quote Adam Levine, I feel like we're a dying breed. And but it's like, I have my label, I work with other artists, and like I've produced music, and it's just a way different thing as opposed to like the five of us in a room, and
Yeah,
it's still special. So I'm excited that we still have that, where it's like we can't just, I guess we could just we haven't been successful. We can't just email
sure.
back and forth and like, all right, you do your part, I'll do my part, and we're
Yeah.
good.
I mean, when you got something that works, like what, you keep doing it if that's the way you guys work well.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, cool. I guess outside of Local Natives musically, I know it's been there's been a lot of stuff come out the past year. Is there anything you're in particular enjoying musically from this past year or this year so far, I guess?
This year, I've been so excited about the new Dark Side record. Uh, that first song came out like 6 months ago, and I
Mhm.
know one of the two, friendly we were with them, and it's just, yeah, I've been even texting him, just like it's so rad.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked they're back together.
Awesome. Yeah.
I feel like it's really inspiring music. Yeah, this shit that just like happens, and I just have no idea what's going on, or just like, yeah,
Sure.
makes me want to make music in a different way. It is so sick. I think they're sick.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely.
I'm trying to think what else. But then JPEG Mafia, I love everything he does. I think he's
Of
sick.
course. I know a lot of people are obsessed with the new Tyler as well.
Yeah, that record's cool. I
Yeah.
feel like for like in this bizarre, he's like a pop star now, which
Yeah.
is
Right.
cool. Yeah,
For sure. Didn't he win a Grammy like his last album?
I think so.
Which is, it blows my mind considering like especially some of his earlier stuff, the kind of lyrics that he had.
Yeah, such a bizarre
Yeah.
like alternate reality
I
we've
mean, good
entered
for him
into.
though. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, it's sick. I'd rather him than, I don't know, Katy Perry's
Yeah.
eighth album or something.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool,
Uh
man.
and that Salt, it's like the UK duo.
Okay. I haven't heard
They're
that
like,
one.
it's like SAULT. They're like, it's super vibey, and but they're supposed to
Cool.
be like kind of anonymous. You can't, but you can kind of figure out who they are.
Sure.
You know,
Like the
remember that?
gorillas.
Yeah, yeah. Remember that early 2000s trick?
When no one knew Damon Albarn was in the gorillas, which never happened.
Yeah. I was just talking
Uh,
to my wife about this the other day. That era of, especially indie bands, when you would try to make a name you couldn't Google. Like that was a whole idea when you were just like, yeah, like other stuff. I'm trying to like,
I mean, that's just the thing in general now. Like, if you're starting even a brand, like that's the like one of the first things you want to do.
to
It's like really
not make it
hard.
good.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard nowadays to do anything that's not Googleable.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, what kind of examples did you think of?
Uh, I guess I'm so hesitant to roast anybody. I don't know if they're listening. I will
I
say,
won't make
because
you out anyone. All
no,
right.
no, that's all good. I will say, because they're also friends, so it's cool. Colts. I felt like when they started, it was like if you Googled Colts and then Colts
Yeah,
music, like you just couldn't find anything, and that was like the
especially like
whole,
a noun. Yeah,
yeah. And then there'd be like, I guess Grizzly Bear kind of did like uh, American football, like
right.
foxing, dry cleaning, all this. Like I guess just coming back, but it's
Sure.
just like, I guess good luck Googling Grizzly Bear band
Yeah,
before
if
they
you're
were who
just
they were.
yeah, if you're named after just like a popular word, but like yeah, American football, it's only used in such like a specific way. So if you're looking for music related to American football, you know what you're looking for.
Totally. So
Definitely, definitely.
I guess Spotify changed all that, but
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
such
that's
a
true.
cool era when you were just like, that was the indie thing to do. Like, how do I make it so hard to find my
Right.
band or my artist?
Yeah, when when I was in high school, uh I had myself an emo band and it was like how could you make the most emo sounding name ever, and ours was The Side Effects of Summer, and I'm like, that nails it.
That's really
Just like,
cool.
we're 14 years old, what do we have to worry about? Just the side effects of summer. Which, as I try and think back on,
I
is
feel like you
like,
always have to have a season. It just
yeah.
it reminded me of my friends.
Sorry, there was
Yeah.
a bit of a delay. Go ahead.
Oh no, no. Your band name reminded me of my friend's band name. They're called Waiting for Autumn. It's just it feels like the same
From Autumn to Ashes.
generator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were so many. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, my buddy had one that was like named Autumn or something as well. It's just kind of how you do it. It's what you
Yeah.
know, the seasons.
But which no one ever calls it autumn. You're
Yeah.
trying to be poetic and like get out
Right.
of here.
It's fall. And
Yeah. Yeah.
this isn't the end of 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah. Come on.
uh yeah, for sure, definitely. Want to talk some hoops?
Yeah, I'll try as much as I can to keep up. Like you
So
got some
you're a
deep
Clippers fan,
references
right?
on your page. Yeah, I'm a Clippers fan. LA,
Okay.
a it was mostly like I grew up a Lakers fan, then moved to LA, and Lakers fans, I'll take it. They're pretty annoying. And then moved to LA, and it was just so cheap to go to Clippers games. Like you could
Right.
go for like $10. So I would just go to Clipper games all the time and became like money.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah, so they
Yeah,
were
I
the
mean,
closest
which
game.
would make sense. I mean, technically, weren't the Clippers originally San Diego?
Yeah, for like 2 seasons,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
70s or something.
So yeah, you're naturally it's Clippers.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, how did you feel about their playoff run? I know I can't imagine too happy.
No, it was a little bummer, but actually, maybe I'm like inside it a bit. I was pretty excited. Like I feel like taking closing out number one team without Kawhi. Like we just did four in a row,
Mhm.
and then even I guess Suns to six, but like two of those games were just like the law, and there was another weird, I guess the Paul free throw game. It was just
Yeah.
like we could have won two of those without Kawhi. Like it felt like um, I don't know. Everything I'm reading on my obsessive log, like he's back, but we just have a gap year. But just like with him, like I felt like we got this, baby.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, if we go
Um
that far without him.
so were you afterwards were you rooting for the Suns just because of Chris Paul?
I started, and then he was pretty annoying. And it's one of those things where it's like when the player's on your team and you're like, why does everyone hate him? Like Pat Bev for sure is that player
Yeah,
where it's just like
definitely.
I know when he's not a Clipper, he will annoy me. But
Joakim Noah had that effect too.
oh yeah, oh you're a Chicago guy, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Uh it was also like a little PTSD of like those Clipper runs before because Chris Paul would just like they would get a lead and then he would start like playing the refs versus playing the team, like trying to play
Sure.
fouls and stuff instead of just win the game, put your foot on the
Yeah.
gas pedal.
He plays the secondary game for
Yeah.
sure. Like he tries to get the mental game going.
Yeah. And so at a certain point, I was just enjoying it, but I definitely like teared up watching Giannis like win. It was like it felt like emotional. Yeah, it got
Yeah.
me.
I didn't care who. Yeah. At a certain point, I'm like, both these teams, like they deserve to win. It's small markets. It's not like LA versus Boston. It's like I'm very happy with this.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a good time. And it was cool for Giannis,
Yeah, for
for
sure.
sure.
And it's weird with the Lakers or the Clippers rather. I I don't know why this is, but they get so much hate for never having been like a dynasty. And I
Do
just don't
you
understand why.
you can sense it from afar?
I feel like the Clippers get a lot of hate, and I don't understand why because I mean they haven't been like a super winning team or anything.
No, I would agree, but I just didn't know if it was like the when you're inside of it, you're like everyone hates us. But yeah, it does feel like I don't. Maybe they've just been like I don't know, the laughing stock or something. But it's so weird, like Cleveland Browns are finally good, and I don't
Right.
feel like I would roast them. It's like you still suck for so long. It's like, All right, cool. You're
I mean, hey,
not a joke anymore.
I think everyone was rooting for the Cubs when they were in the World Series, right?
Yeah. Oh, I watched that. I was on tour, and I watched it just because it was like I had no interest. It was like, this is cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just it's fun to watch those teams do well. I don't and I don't people want the Clippers to lose. So
I don't.
strange
I don't know why. Yeah.
for sure. Sorry,
I think part of it
the
is
Zoom cut out again real quick.
it's all good. I do think part of it is maybe that's what drove me away from Lakers. And then I'll root for them when
Yeah,
like the Clippers are out, but like their fans are so I don't know,
yeah.
aggressive and I'll say toxic. They're just
I
weird.
mean,
Just and then it's their
may,
city. Like there's murals everywhere and it's cool.
yeah,
But
you both play in the same stadium.
yeah, but it's just like you won. So it's like
Yeah,
it's like the sore winner mentality. It's
right,
like,
right.
yeah.
I do feel like maybe the players that you've gotten in the past year has fueled that. Like people don't want to root against Kawhi and people want to root against Pat Bev, even Paul George for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I feel
it's
like we've
weird.
had, even if you go back to like I guess CP
I think people like that
Liverpool.
team with Blake and DeAndre.
You think so? From afar, you think there was
I mean, I definitely like that team because it's like it's Lob City. Like, what's not to like about this?
oh yeah, just highlights all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
DeAndre Jordan destroying Brandon Knight was like the best thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, I don't know what to say without sounding like too much of a homer, but like even like the Paul George stuff has been like so like obsessive and overdrawn. Like he like crushed
Yeah,
it this postseason.
playoff P,
And
right?
but yeah, and
I
I get getting roasted. He said it like 3 years ago.
know.
And like, oh here's I'll get on my soapbox. Uh I feel like Dame has got so much goodwill and he's incredible. But like if you look at Dame's playoff resume and Paul George's, like I feel like Paul George's is better. Or maybe they're exactly the
That's,
same.
I mean, that's an interesting argument for sure. Um, yeah, it's tough to say because Paul George will have one bad game, and people will just like the internet is not forgiving.
No.
So it's people will remember, and it's unfortunate because like I guess Dame has had less. He has had a higher baseline, I guess. But
Yeah.
I mean, I would, yeah. I mean, Paul George is still an elite player.
Yeah. But like also Dame has got swept in the first round like twice,
Yeah,
maybe.
and
Yeah.
now he's seeking a trade. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
So tomorrow is the start of free agency. Do you think Kawhi is going to stick around?
Kawhi's here, baby. I'm calling it here.
Yeah, he's locking
The
in with the player option. Okay.
the Woj. No, the Woj of Indy. He's all the blogs I've read, he opts out and he's doing a new deal. Or he opts in. I think the whole thing, and I get why people roasted Clippers because we've always been roasted. He wanted to get the 10-year max deal. So
Yeah,
he signed this shorter contract to get to year 10 just to sign it then. He
I could.
bought a
I mean, I could definitely
house in
see it. He's
LA.
got a good base. They just need to kind of one, just try again, and two, like maybe get a few supporting roles. Like it sucks you lost Montrez last year.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the one that really hurt was Lou. I felt like
Yeah,
he carried us for a while. Like what the comeback Golden State game, like Lou scoring like 50 or something.
yeah,
Um yeah, I really feel like this this was our year. Just run it back. You know,
yeah.
make little tweaks, and if you add Kawhi to the team we had,
I mean, as long as you're staying healthy and you have Paul George and you have Kawhi Leonard playing at the same time, you have a good shot.
yeah.
So
And T Man, our third option, and Reggie Jackson are like
yeah,
just coming alive. Like I felt like, yeah, and
yeah, definitely.
we got a
And you
returner.
also did you watch any of the NBA draft?
I did. We
You
got
surprisingly got like the Clippers got a pick and a decent pick at that.
yeah. I was so surprised. He was like on none of the like all the mock drafts for us, you know,
Right.
because he was supposed to go like in the teens or something.
I think he had kind of fallen more recently, but yeah, I mean he was at one point a lottery prospect.
Yeah, and I feel like he's like perfect for like he's like defensive minded, like can be the next Pat Bev or something for us.
Right.
Yeah,
It'll be curious. I'll be curious to see because I mean rookies don't ever get that much playing time up front, but he could still have an impact as like a bench kind of impact role.
it does feel like it's a. I guess if I was coaching the team or GMing, like this is a gap year, develop some dudes, and kind of like PG MVP season. Like I don't think he could win it, but just like he was like top 3 with OKC. Just like build like get him back on his feet. I mean, he already
Yeah.
is, but just like get him like firing on all cylinders, and then
Right.
add Kawhi next year. We're good to go.
I think a lot of people had issue too with they from afar they thought that the locker room was like divided, especially after the bubble,
Yeah,
which may be true, but it seems like
I
they got it back together.
I think it was, and I think I mean I don't want to. I don't know if Montrez listens to this podcast, but I think there was the divide of like the old guard, like the Montrez and Lou like carried the team before, and then Kawhi is like really quiet,
Mhm.
and so it's just like they were still the loudest ones in the locker room, and then Montrez lost the Denver series for us. Like he couldn't guard anybody, and
Right.
so it was like this whole like probably blame game, and then he went to Lakers on a like a real undervalued contract. It
Yeah.
felt like as a fuck you, and
He
then
thought it was
they
a sure
traded
thing
him.
too.
They traded him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's wild. He totally thought like in the Lakers first round exit, man. Like
yeah,
it's not a sure thing. Clearly injuries are an issue, but
totally.
how do you think of uh, all the more recent news? Russell Westbrook going to the Lakers.
I'm I love it. I love to see the I don't know. I want to call them like out of touch with reality, like Lakers fan, because like I feel like all their threads are like, we're gonna add Lowry and Chris Paul. Let's run it, and everyone's like, "Do you guys know there's a salary cap, right?"
Right, right.
And
I
so
feel
I feel
like
like,
like Lakers and Yankees have like those fans have like the same mentality. Like we're gonna get every big player this trade deadline,
yeah,
and we're gonna get everyone. We're gonna be even more stacked to our already stacked team.
totally. And like my brother's still a Lakers fan, and he's like so stoked. But I kind of love. I feel like it's a step backwards. There's You have 3 players who all are in the paint. You got rid of like your 2 best shooters. I know everyone's
Mhm.
like they're gonna add some shooters, but it's just like so game 7 is decided on some mid-level exception you haven't signed yet, like taking
Right.
corner threes like that. Yeah, I'm stoked. I feel like
It'll
they're
be
just
interesting.
they Lakers like love star power, so that's the whole thing. But like
Right.
just run it back. Like you had the same team. You need support
If AD is
guys.
healthy, then you're in good shape.
Yeah, and you got rid of all your support cast in the last
Right.
2 years.
It's very cool of you to, despite being a Clippers fan, to be like, I love this trade. It's fun.
I mean, that's what's so fun about it. It's just like we're just watching soap operas, and it's
Yeah,
super fun. It's
totally.
yeah.
I've always said that the NBA now is closer to pro wrestling than anything else.
I
It's
like
all
that.
about the personalities and like your gimmick.
Yeah, you're buying
Like
into a plot line and a story, and
totally. There
yeah,
is like ESPN creates like a storyline for the NBA every year.
yeah. Did
Is
you listen to speaking of that comparison, the Whistleblower podcast?
I have not.
I think I think you'll love it. It was about that I forget his name. Pat Donahue, the ref who was like making bets like in the
Oh yeah,
early
yeah, yeah.
2000s. And it's about
Wait,
him,
is he the guy who
not
ejected
Pat
Tim Duncan for
Donahue.
nothing?
Yes.
Okay.
Pat Donahue is like a TV personality, right?
Yeah.
Pat something. Anyways, he it's this whole podcast, and it seemed like the NBA made him like the fall guy. Like it was just like, oh, it's just like one bad apple, like bad actor. But he's like, no, the NBA is more like pro wrestling than you realize. Like there's a reason why. Like this year's a good example. NBA would love for Lakers versus like a tri-state team. That's better ratings than
Absolutely.
like 2 small market. And not that they're like straight out fixing games, but it's just like you can get a star in foul trouble in the beginning of the third. Like no one's really watching, and you can kind of just like press some buttons and push the game
Yeah.
how you want.
I mean, I kind of love like the conspiracy angle for sure, but I totally buy into it because remember Bill Simmons back like what 10 years ago
Oh yeah,
when
yeah,
he's like he was at the NBA draft and he's like NBA's rigged. Cleveland got the first pick to get Kyrie, and it's just yeah, they lost LeBron. I get it.
yeah. Or even I guess Zion and AD. Like it was just like, all right, we feel bad. Let's make
Yeah.
here's your
Or
consolation prize.
personal to me, Derrick Rose, the Bulls getting number one pick despite having a .08 odds.
Yeah,
Like, oh, Chicago is a big market. They've been losing for a while. We should throw them a bone.
yeah. Which
I,
I mean, if you're in charge, I get it too. Like you want Chicago to be good versus like
yeah,
I don't know, Memphis crushing it. Like
right.
no shade on Memphis, but it's not gonna get the
Well,
national attention.
if the NBA is rigged, I'm still waiting for my turn because they're
You got your
good-ish.
turn. You
I
got like a
know.
whole
I was
decade.
too young to really like enjoy it.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah. I mean, I remember like the later half of the Jordan years, but
Yeah.
like I don't know. Levine and Vucevic, like they're great. They're like the Bulls are good-ish. I just don't know if they can really get there. I'm curious to see how they develop this year.
You think they blow it up?
No, I don't think they blow it up. I think this is their year to push it.
Oh, okay.
I think because they traded for Vooch for like they have him for another year or two,
Okay.
and I think they either have to like sign some role players and hope that their draft picks grow, like Patrick Williams and Kobe White.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love rooting for the Bulls. It's just because Levine has been awesome the past few years.
I'm rooting for him. I feel like he's cool, but
Yeah,
from afar, just like it never felt like a good situation.
right. Um, I guess a question I have is so kind of connecting again. Do other members of the band they share basketball interests?
No.
I've
They'll
noticed this. It's usually like one member. One
yeah.
member's got
Is
it.
that from all the bands you've talked to? That's the thing.
So far, I mean, the last episode I did was with Diet Sig, and it's just the two of them. But
Okay.
yeah, like I had Dikembe on, and it's
Uh-huh.
like two of them were on. So like two out of the five are like, I can cover for the band and just represent us for basketball.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that. I
They'll
haven't met
they'll
like a band that's like everyone is like a diehard.
I think if everyone was a diehard, you wouldn't be in indie music. You would be like a
Yeah.
blogger or like have a normal job or something. Maybe
Yes.
it's
Or for some reason you'd be like a themed band.
yeah, a covers
Like
band or something.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting, but
They'll entertain me. They'll like they're all pretty down for the ride. So if it's like a playoff game, um, watch it on the bus or like go to a
yeah.
bar. But it's also been pretty fun where like I remember finals happened like our last time we toured, 2019. But just like
Mhm.
the opening band was super into Toronto.
Oh, nice.
This Australian
Toronto's
band
got a
called
big fan base.
yeah, but they're Australian. They're this band
Oh,
called
okay.
Metal Kids, and so I would just like go in their green room and we would just watch basketball because I would annoy my band if I put on in our green room.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know Steven from the band Pup has been a big vocal, like he's been a vocal proponent of the Toronto Raptors, and
He's the
they
Drake of indie.
yeah, pretty much. Well, and also I know you comment on the post, but like Portugal the Man, I feel like they have been like ambassadors for the Blazers, which is like you don't see that often.
No, I feel like they rep Portland so hard too, which
They
is
really
really
do.
sick.
Like they've like hung out with Dame Lillard, which is like blows my mind.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
I've had friendly with Paramore, and they played Steph Curry's like 30th birthday, which was kind of funny. It was just because it seemed like none of them, like I won't say cared, but it was like, oh, he's cool, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. He's a
Uh,
personality that I can get down with.
yeah, but I'm still waiting for that. I don't even know who would like local natives. I feel like we'd
You
be.
think local natives are going to play at Kawhi's birthday bash?
No, I don't think we're gonna get on the culture jam mixtape.
No. Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I've talked to a friend of mine. We were trying to guess, like, there's got to be like one fan out there, and I'm just trying to guess who it could be.
Right.
It's definitely like, dude, maybe not. I don't know. Just like it feels like I have no idea who the one player who likes us is.
I've noticed that too on my account. Like, there's obviously a favor of I talk to musicians when I talk to NBA players, but there's like I'm still waiting for like the NBA player to chime in who's like super into it. Like, I did read that Josh Richardson is like into like the National and shit.
No way.
Yeah.
All right,
So like I
there's my
would love
closest
like
one.
to get in touch with Josh Richardson.
Yeah, of the Sixers now. Did he just get traded?
Yeah, he was in the
Boston or
Sixers.
Boston?
I don't know where he is at now. I mean, he went from Miami to the Sixers, and I thought he was still at the Sixers.
Oh, okay. All right. If
Yeah,
you're DMing him, just send him our album, see what he
I
thinks.
know, right? We can
Yeah.
link you guys up. Um, cool. So I sent you along with the email. Play a little game. Play a little game of. I have when I have people on, we compare players of your team to what is like. What do they sound like? You know, like what is their like whether you go into play style or whether you just like based off their name, whatever it is.
Yeah.
What is your justification for what this player sounds like? And I have mine too, and we can kind of go back and forth and compare.
Cool.
Um,
I did my homework.
there you go. Awesome. So we can start with who we were just talking about, Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi. So I guess with all my choices, I went career and perception. And because he's an alien who's super bizarre and I think a genius in a weird way, I went FKA Twigs.
Ooh,
Like
that's interesting.
really, really like a genius, but really like alien and bizarre.
Sure. Misunderstood.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh cool. For mine is like I always like to try and like push why. So it like at first it's like, all right, explain.
Yeah.
My pick for Kawhi was Elliott Smith. Uh because
I give
all
him
right,
that.
he's very, very good, but he is absolutely zero fun.
Yeah.
And plus he's always kind of like I feel like Kawhi's always had this like lone wolf vibe. And it's
Yeah.
just like he's a solo artist, so that makes sense to me.
Doesn't like press like at all.
Yeah,
Just wants the work to speak for itself.
exactly. I'm not saying he's like sad all the time or anything like that, but
Yeah, yeah.
you know, he's the talented guy. He's just again misunderstood, maybe.
Yeah. I like that connection. I was going like so like one in a million bizarre. Like
I mean, I
FKA
love that.
Twigs
Yeah,
is like she's an alien. She's a genius alien.
right.
And I think Kawhi is too, yeah.
My feeling about FKA Twigs is like Kanye, but more enjoyable to
What
me.
Kanye should have been
Yeah,
at this
like
point.
like they both have their like out there artistry, but I just
Yeah.
like vibe more with FKA Twigs lately,
Yeah.
at least.
I mean, she's like top 10 for me right now. I feel like
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
everything she does is so cool.
for sure. Okay, the next one is another current player, and that's as you mentioned, Pat Bev.
Yeah. So I guess I'm gonna explain my picks before I say the name. I I was I think he does one or two things really well, um, and he's pretty annoying, and he's polarizing. So if you like him, you're all in. If you're not, you're just like,
Wait, are we going with Kanye again?
yeah. I'm going with the Growlers.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I feel like they got a thing, and if you're in, you're all in, and if you're not, you're just like, all right, they just made the same album,
I like that. I like that.
and they're pretty
Okay.
kind of annoying. Let's say,
Hey man, you say what you want. I'm not gonna censor you.
I'm stirring this indie pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to start some NBA style rivalries on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm all that. Yeah, our band, we always talk, it's like indie rock is just so nice generally.
Local
And
Natives are the Detroit Pistons bad boys.
let's do it.
All right. So for Pat Bev, I had so he's a very aggressive player. He's
Hmm.
not for everyone. Very intense Dillinger escape plan.
Whoa.
He's aggressive, man. He will get up in your face.
But describing like Jesus era Kanye. I guess they all could be
Yeah.
Kanye, huh?
Kanye could
Yeah.
really be anyone, right?
Yeah. Dillinger, yeah. But I guess with Dillinger, do you think you could get like women into Dillinger? I don't know. I doubt there's a lot of women in their fan base.
That's a valid point. Are there a lot of women who are like into Pat Bev?
No, but I feel like I can get my wife on board.
Hmm. Sure. He's
And I
he's
feel
definitely a
like,
personality that people yeah, we mentioned this. You're there with him or against him.
yeah,
Okay. Next one down the list, their third, Blake Griffin.
Blake, I did an artist that came out of the gates really hot, just top of the game, so much promise, and then they followed up with like some, I want to say, some underrated hits, but they kind of fell off over the years, and then they would show up like 8 years later, which I would argue with another just like banger, but it's just like kind of, but they kind of remained at the status.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking of the IAS for Blake as well, and because I
Uh-huh.
wasn't. There was like a key personality trait that I went with that didn't line up with the IAS, but I totally see it because like kind of been around and they stick around.
There's still a household name.
Yeah. And yeah,
It's just,
every now and then you get a banger here and there.
yeah, and I think like they're all like individually like still geniuses, but maybe they're just like they got other shit going on. Blake's got comedy going on, and just like, oh, we'll get back together to play a
Right.
festival, or like I'll join the Nets for 2 months and
Maybe
play
yeah,
good
yeah,
for the
yeahs are
summer.
gonna have their Nets year.
There's the brand synergy. Bring it back to Brooklyn.
Yeah, for sure, man. Okay, so you mentioned the comedy with Blake. I honed in on that. Blake Griffin, he's a good time. He's fun. Yeah, he does this comedy thing. He's also just like fundamentally talented. Like I love how he started off super athletic and then like changed his game to be like a 3-point shooter.
Hmm.
Uh, but he's just the epitome of fun. So I want Wolfpack.
Oh, okay.
I just feel like you can't like you're listening to Wolfpack, you're like you can't help but bob, it's just like they're just a fun time.
Yeah. You can't be, there's not like Volpec haters out there. Like you're just
Yeah, and I
like,
can't imagine like why people would like hate Blake Griffin.
yeah.
I mean, maybe it's because like if you're a Pistons fan, you're like, wait, where's this Blake that we had?
Yeah. I mean, there's some, and I would, it's like I wish him well. There was like the weird breakup with us too, where
The Balmer, yeah.
where just like every interview he gave, it seemed like he's like, fuck those guys. And then he was like, yeah, they actually tried calling me and I just ignored the call. And she was like, wait, what? And then you're like, he would
Wasn't
give
there a
these
thing
interviews.
too where like Balmer went on the court to like shake his hand and he ignored him?
He like ran right by him.
It's
Yeah, it's
so
like
funny.
it's pretty great. Like this is wrestling. Like it's
Yeah,
so great.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the behind the stage promo.
Yeah. That's McMahon and Undertaker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that connection. I'll always stand by that.
Yeah.
Okay, so our last one is a deep cut, I would say.
Hmm.
And that's the caveman, Chris Kamen.
Yep. I went like, yeah, it was a deep cut. I felt like it was a little before my time. It was like when this time I wasn't really watching basketball, just watching just playoffs generally.
Mm-hmm.
And but like I knew he was solid. I knew he like was like a fringe all-star. Maybe he was an all-star like once or twice or something. Just like solid, always around, long
Mm-hmm.
career. Um, so for all those reasons, and the career comparison again, I went with REM. Like they were
Wow.
a little before my time. Like everyone tells me they were pretty
Interesting.
solid.
I
Never
feel
like
like that might be an oversell if Chris came in.
oh, okay. I don't know if he had any hits or anything. They're like a cult
uh,
following or something. But I
totally
guess
cult following.
REM had like number one hits though. So I
Definitely.
take that out. I always think of REM as like the cool uh like pavement indie scene that was just like before my time that people talked about.
Totally. I feel like REM is like the link between like classic rock and indie rock.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's like the bands that kind of like have been long timers, you know, and then there's like REM, and then like now I feel like Wilco is in that territory too. So like Wilco is kind of like the old timer who's like sticking around.
Totally.
So I
And it
but
feels like
no, go ahead.
the Zoom thing. Yeah. Yeah, it feels like time is a big thing too. Like if you're like Wilco's around in the 90s, so it's kind of like crazy.
Yeah,
Like you're here 3 decades later and they're making cool records,
totally.
like bad rock stuff.
They're like classic. Like I would say they're like what classic rock is now, quote unquote.
It's funny because I feel like I'm gonna sound like the ultimate indie hipster scene dude, but like I get into like I'll go through a phase like REM or even like the Tyler record before. Like I'm not doesn't make me interesting or unique, but just like I got into it and I was like, oh, this actually was a number one hit, and I was surprised. It was just like, oh, this is a vibey record. So I view REM or like Wilco the same way, but like I feel like I totally forgot REM had like a
Yeah.
massive number one hit.
Oh
I
yeah.
think Wilco too. Yeah. So it was like I just perceived them as like, oh, like this legacy, cool, like almost national or something. Just kept doing the
For
same thing
sure.
for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
No breakout singles, but
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
You look at the catalog as a whole.
totally. And I forget that they had. It's almost like the radio thing. Like you forget that Creep was started the whole thing, but
Yeah.
Everyone starts from the Bends, but
Right.
Creep is what bankrolled all that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that pick. I was more shallow, and I went
Okay.
based on physical appearance.
The only redhead in rock, or
He is such a unique looking dude, and he looks so metal.
uh-huh.
Like he's got like the thinning hair, but also he like later in his
The
career grew the big
chops and
beard.
stuff.
Yeah, like the blonde beard, he just looks so metal.
Yeah.
And I went with Mastodon.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like he looks like he would be in Mastodon.
You give him a face tattoo,
Yeah.
he's like their bass player or something.
He just like his to me also his play style was like a little like sludgy, you know?
Uh-huh.
So I just he's got a little bit of like doom metal vibes to himself.
That's sick. Yeah, I'm down.
So now I think I have the task of photoshopping Chris Kamen in the band of Mastodon.
That's pretty good. Who do you think will respond first, Mastodon or him?
That's a good question. I feel like sometimes you'll get like the retired players who like aren't really doing much these days to chime in, but Mastodon seemed like cool dudes.
Yeah, I mean they did the split with Feist, which was pretty sick.
Yeah, they're pretty like, as far as like genre goes, they lend out to other genres frequently.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our little our little game.
It's pretty fun. Yeah. Feels like
sure.
a very specific audience for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I found is the people who really appreciate it is like you get two major subcategories, and when you get someone who's both, they're just like diehards.
Yeah.
It's great. So
yeah,
I'm happy to find you as a diehard as well. So
yeah, it's I mean, yeah, I like basketball. Sure. I'm in a band.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, thanks again for joining. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, I had a blast. What's going on in the indie basketball world?
So I will be we have this episode, and we're branching out to do more. I'm trying to do more video stuff and trying to do actually like unique performances, kind of like, like I know you posted recently about like Blog Attack or like, I don't know if you remember like the yellow couch sessions or whatever. Yeah, I want to do something uniquely indie basketball, and I'm trying to actually build up now to have, maybe we can get some like unique performances like on a basketball court or things like that.
Sick.
So yeah, trying to do more performances and stuff like that. I know it started as just like silly Photoshop memes, but like I want to also try and promote like smaller talent, because like I feel like I have a platform to get people exposed. So
yeah, that's cool.
so yeah,
Try to get some super mellow, not vibe setting half court
yeah,
halftime games.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe we can schedule to try and get people to do like all indie band team, get like two bands playing 5-on-5.
I mean, I feel like the king of this world is the celebrity game MVP, Win Butler. He's
It's Win
like,
Butler and Justin Vernon. They both are ballers.
Justin balls too?
He does, yeah. There was a a picture. I think there was like a musicians tournament, and Win Butler, Justin Vernon, and Julian Casablancas.
I know Julian loves it.
He's a big Mets dude, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think I don't want to say Albert Hammond Jr. as well, but maybe.
I need to get in this pickup game.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I want to host. I want to host the all indie tournament.
We
3-on-3.
We toured with Arcade Fire a long time ago, and Taylor, one of the singers in my band, he went and played just a random pickup game with Win, like in a random city. And
Was he taking it seriously?
Oh, he was like, I guess a little embarrassed because there's like randoms, go to YMCA in Cincinnati or whatever. And he said just Win was just like the dude in the gym, just like, and I mean, that's probably why he won the MVP, just like going hard, yelling at strangers and like aggressive rebounds. But
totally.
And
that's
he's like
awesome.
6'6" or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it's Canadians, man. They love basketball. They love Toronto. Cool, man. Yeah. So what you mentioned some stuff for local natives. Are there any dates soon that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I don't know when this comes out. We're playing the Greek in LA. I don't think there's any tickets, so come if you are. August 14th, we play Berkeley, September something with Sylvanesso. They're good buds. And then that's kind of it. Then my label, Chewing Ink, we're putting out a single every month for the rest of the year. So
awesome.
Put out this artist Amatola. She's amazing. This band, The Gloomies, this New York band, or it's a dude, two dudes. Yeah, that's what's on there. And then a LN LP5 2022.
Awesome, man. Yeah, everyone check that out. And yeah, thanks again for joining, man. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Have a good one.